Hey guys, we are about to go live here with U.S. Women's National Team Lindsey Horan. So we're going to get started here in a few. Just waiting for Lindsey here to join, and we're going to get started. Hey Lindsey,
What's up?
how's it going? Thanks for taking the time to chat today.
Yeah, of course. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. You're over in Denver now, right?
I am. Best place to be.
Talk to me about life in Denver right now. What's your new normal look like?
Um, Honestly, well, nothing is normal at all right now, but I'm getting a little bit more time with my family and friends here and kind of doing my own little routine that's kind of like my off season, just a little different. But it's nice. I mean, it's the best of, what I could possibly be doing right now.
I've been talking to a lot of our athletes, and they've all been saying the same thing: is where it's a little bit of a blessing in disguise in some ways because they're able to spend some time with family that they never would be able to have otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. I get game night every Friday night, playing Scrabble. Just lost this week, so I'm
Oh,
upset, but
so next week's going to be a big week.
next week's a big week.
It's interesting too because I feel like when a lot of these stay-at-home orders were put in place, we were seeing a lot of videos of animal shelters clearing out and people fostering and adopting dogs. And word on the street is you also brought home a new addition among this craziness. Can you confirm or?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I he wasn't a COVID-19 dog. He
Okay.
was purchased prior, probably like 2 weeks before everything went down, and it just became like the biggest blessing because I've gotten the most time ever with my puppy that I would never have gotten. So I've gotten 2 months straight with my little angel over here who's passed out, um, and it's been amazing.
That's awesome too, because there's so much downtime that now it feels like people are wanting dogs and needing that, just sense of like company more than ever.
Oh yeah, I see a puppy every single day out on the street. It's amazing.
I love it. Well, I want to get into your career here a little bit, Lindsey. I know we only have about 20 minutes or so, but I think one of the really interesting things about you is you really kind of set a precedent for women in soccer and being the first female athlete in the soccer space to forego college. And I mean, you didn't even play high school ball, you chose to play club. And so one of the things that I was thinking about here is, to be that first player to ever do that, obviously that decision must have not come lightly. What were some of the factors that weighed into you deciding to go to PSG instead of taking that road to North Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, probably the biggest decision I've made in my life.
Yeah.
So difficult at the time, but I think I probably took a year to make that decision. I had the whole last year of my high school career to make the decision. So that was nice in a way, but I think I ultimately knew what I wanted to do the whole time. It was just about saying it and going against a lot of opinions, and I think that was kind of the hardest thing for me is so many different pieces of advice that I got from people that I didn't necessarily care to get their opinion, but it actually helped me in the long run make it just realizing what opinions mattered and what I actually wanted to do deep down. And it's hard. You're looking at a full ride scholarship to UNC, such a prestigious school, and I've said that so many times. It's such a tough thing to turn down, and I think I'm very blessed that I have parents that let me make the decision for myself and support me in that, and the friends that I still have till this day that supported me in that and everything in my career. So super fortunate for me, to have that support group.
I mean, living in France at 18 years old, that's a culture shock. I feel like it in so many ways. You're just becoming like a woman in yourself and figuring out what path you want to go down professionally, and then you're put into a foreign country in a place like PSG of all places. I mean, you've
Yeah.
spoken a little bit about how your coach at the time didn't necessarily like the way that you were built per se. Do
Mhm.
you feel like there's a stigma that comes along with professional athletes and the way they should look, and specifically how a women professional athlete should look?
Um, a little bit, and it's unfortunate, sometimes now I just don't even think about it. I
Yeah.
think back then it's the French. They like things a certain way, a way people should look. I think I came one day, I was just looking at my nails today, they're terrible. And I came one day with my nails not done perfectly, and everyone said something, and even the staff members, and I was like, I cannot believe my coach just said something about my nails. But it's kind of just their culture over there. They always look nice, and I showed up in sweatpants every day to the locker room because I did not want to put jeans on after after I trained. But that's kind of how they were, and again, my experience over there was incredible, and it made me so strong. But there were so many difficult times, and that being one of them. But you know what? Again, it made me stronger today, and I just hope that it continues to get better and better for these women going through that.
As you were kind of moving along in your career after your time at PSG was over, the 2015 World Cup was on its way, and you were so close. And a few training camps prior to the World Cup. How do you think that situation molded you over the next few years, and looking at everything you've accomplished now?
Yeah, it's funny because I really didn't even know if I had a chance at that World Cup. I got injured at the time that I think they had flown to France for a few games, and I didn't even think I was getting called up to those. But I think it was more tough for me because I have this huge injury that put me out for 8 months, and I actually ended up going to the World Cup to watch. US play Sweden because I had two teammates at PSG that played for Sweden, and I was like, oh, this would be perfect. I can watch Tobin and I can watch my two Swedes, and it was amazing. And then I got there, and they were warming up, and I was in the worst mood. I was just like, I never want to be put in this position again where I'm in the stands, watching the U.S. national team play. Like, I want to be out there, and I think that was a really cool moment for me because I, was in such a cool setting. I was at a World Cup cheering on my nation, and I was so upset and, just throwing a fit out there. And I think it just spoke a lot to me about where I wanted to be and what my goals were. And I think, again, that was just a really cool moment in my career, and, showing what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be.
That's so interesting. So when it came to last year in the World Cup and that first time that you kind of took the pitch, did that ever cross your mind that 4 years ago you were on the other side of it? Did it ever hit you?
Um, no, that didn't cross my mind because I was like too busy trying to hold myself together, not crying, because it's just like the coolest moment. Your first game in a World Cup, the national anthem plays. I wanted to bawl my eyes out, and I'm like, Jesus, hold it together, Liz. Just not now.
Well, you've talked a
So
lot of playing with the Thorns and making that transition over. It was so emotional for you, especially in those first few games, coming back and playing with Portland, that there's just something about the crowd and then the anthem playing and everything. And obviously, you made that transition with the Thorns, and God, championship in 2017, the MVP, the accolades just continue to follow in 2018. Do you think that there was a sense of comfort with that club, because it kind of seemed like you didn't even miss a beat in that transition from PSG over to the Thorns. I mean, from the
well,
outside
thank you.
role.
Yeah, I think it was cool for me because I came from such a professional club like PSG, with all this experience in Europe and playing in Champions League and whatnot, and then you come back to the Thorns, which was probably the best um, place professionally for me to go and have somewhat of the same style and culture there. In Portland, it's such a soccer city, And I think that's the thing I love the most about it. You know, the fans that we get the same amount of fans as the men every single game, and the way they cheer and the way they appreciate good football is amazing. And I think not a lot of people realize it, but like they our fans like actually know like when something is good happening on the field. It's not just like, you know, someone rockets a ball 10 feet over the goal and they're like, oh,
So
so close, but like they
yes.
like appreciate, yeah, like they'll appreciate a good tackle or a good defensive play or someone tracking a man 60 yards back. You know, those kind of things I think are really cool that our fans appreciate. So, you know, every single day we step out, we want to play for them, and it's such a surreal feeling every time, you know, stepping out for the Thorns. The fans are, it gets me so hyped every time.
It's interesting too because with PSG you were more of a striker role, and then obviously with the Thorns and the U.S. Women's National Team, you're in more of that center mid role. Do you feel now like that's more of a position you're comfortable in, or was that transition pretty seamless?
Yeah, I've always had this you know, not motto per se, but in football, I think any good player can play anywhere on the pitch and understand. And I'm not saying I could go play on the back line right now, but I think I was able to understand both roles, and you know, I'm a player that loves to be on the ball, so I think coming back from PSG and getting to step in as an eight, I was, you know, one, I put into an uncomfortable position because I hadn't played there for 4 years, but I was just like, you know what, I get to go be on the ball more, and I think that's where I'm best, and I think me in the middle of the field is better than, you know, your nine coming back trying to get on the ball all the time. So I think it was a good move for me. I love that position. I again, at some point in my career, I could see me playing nine again, but who knows?
It's interesting too because you talk about how in 2015 things in 4 years, really 5 years, how much can truly change in that period of time. And obviously, you get to be the World Cup team in 2019, and Players Tribune was there for that call for you when you got that from Jill Ellis. What was that moment like for you receiving that call and knowing that 4 years ago that is all you ever wanted?
Yeah, it was probably one of the coolest moments in my life, and it was amazing that Players Tribune was there to capture it because I we were just about to step into an interview, and I was like, guys, I think I need to take this, and it was Jill, and they're just like, do you mind if we like capture it? And I was like, no, I don't care. I hope it's a good call. um, but yeah, I was, you know, I'm a super emotional person, and I think, you know, just getting the call is such a cool thing in our careers, and you can't take those things for granted. So I'll remember that call for the rest of my life, and you know, it's been a dream of mine ever since I was a little kid. So and you know, every national team player can say that. So it was an incredible moment, and one of the best moments of my life.
It's really cool too because I feel like you're in such a unique position along with everybody in your position right now, especially on the women's national team. And after the 2019 World Cup, it just it felt, at least from our perspective and where we were sitting, that there was kind of a switch that happened after that. You guys did something for the nation, and it felt like it was bigger than women's soccer. It felt like it was transitioning over to the WNBA as well. I mean, we just saw record numbers for you know, viewership for them in the draft, and I don't know, it just kind of felt like after the Women's World Cup, there was this push and level of support that we had never seen before in this country. Do you kind of feel like you're a part of something bigger that's happening right now with women's empowerment, and that you have this opportunity to kind of show younger girls that like what this can happen, and there's a bright future ahead?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. At the beginning of my career with the national team, I kind of sat back and I was just like, you know, the older, more veteran players, you know, will take the reins on that, and you know, it's their job. You know, we'll be here to support them in that fight. And I felt, you know, going into the World Cup, everything changed, and I felt so much a part of that, and everything we did, you know, on the field, off the field, you know, when we finally got into the World Cup setting, you know, it was all on the field. Like we weren't thinking about anything off the field, what was going on, you know, lawsuits, all of that. It was just like we need to go kick ass and show who we are so that all the other things fall in place. And I think that was such a cool thing to see after the whole World Cup, after all of our celebrations and stuff. We come back home and the amount of support we got, we had that the whole tournament, but it was just a different feeling when we got to New York City, that day, and we stepped on the buses and went into the parade. And I mean, it was the coolest thing I've ever been a part of. And I think all of us can say, we were playing for something bigger than, just us. It was our whole nation behind it, and it's women in general, and what we're trying to do in the world. And I think just in the moment that we were at the World Cup, that wasn't the main point. We wanted to go out there and win a World Cup and be a team, but then all these other things fell into place. And I think that was really cool, just seeing that we played for something bigger than ourselves. So incredible to be a part of that. And obviously we're hoping to continue that and continue to fight. And we're so proud that we have so many supporters behind us as well.
I think you're giving this country hope in this time where, we need it so badly. And now when people think of the U.S. Women's National Team, you're a household name in that conversation. You're a World Cup champion. You're only, 25? I think when you look back at the last few years, especially at the level you've been playing at, what's the one memory that comes to mind for you? What's the first thing?
I mean, the World Cup is obviously number one. That's every player's dream is winning a World Cup, getting a gold medal. I do have so many memories. I think one of the biggest ones was obviously our NWSL championship. That was like literally the first thing I've ever won. So
Really?
all my time at PSG, I never won a championship. So I think, winning the NWSL championship, and after that year and just like the hard fought win, that was a really cool moment for our team and the players that we had, and just the team that we had. So I really like that one. I love the way we played throughout the whole 2018 season, and it was such a bummer that we lost in general, but that was a cool year for me to win an individual award. But yeah, I think obviously the World Cup is the biggest one.
Lindsey, I can't thank you enough for stopping by to chat with us today, as a part of this whole Bend the Curve campaign with U.S. Soccer. And I hope the rest of these next few months, weeks, whatever it may be, that you and your family are staying safe and enjoying that time with them. And obviously I hope Ferguson's just living life right now. So
Oh, he's living life.
I appreciate it. Have any more of your Sunday, and I hope everything here next year is incredible for you. So I appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Take care.
All right, bye.